without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mary Barley, who's the chair of the Everglades Trust. Mary Barley currently serves on the board of the Everglades Foundation, having served as vice chairperson from 2003 to 2012, and chair from 1995 to 2002. Mary is a driving force in the Everglades Foundation and was one of the founders of it, and she'll tell you a little bit about that. Mary also serves on the boards of the National Parks Conservation Association, World Wildlife Fund Marine Leadership Committee, and the World Wildlife Fund National Council, the Atlantic Salmon Federation, Clean Water Action, and Wild Oceans. She has received many awards and accolades for her work, including being designated an honorary Miccosukee. And we're having the chairman of the Miccosukee tribe here today as our guest speaker at lunch. An honorary conch by the mayor of Monroe County in 1999. And she was profiled in numerous magazines, including Time's Hero of the Planet. Let me welcome Mary Barley, true champion of the Everglades.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming today. I think it's going to be a really important part of how we look at and go forward during this election year coming up. So each and every one of us should remember that. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and who I am, and then I'm going to tell you who Big Sugar is. I'm Mary Barley. I currently live in the Florida Keys. I grew up in Wisconsin, and I came to Florida, and I can remember the first time I saw it. I was 21 years old, and I was enthralled. I thought, I am never, ever going back to Wisconsin. And so I moved here, and I married a developer. Whoa, I know. But that developer became the hero for Everglades restoration. We had a house in the Florida Keys, and one day we went out, and our basin looked like pea soup. And one of the fishing guides called us and he said, I want to take you out. So we went out over by Flamingo, Sandy Key, and that had turned into pea soup. And George said, that is it. What we were doing, we were putting pumps in our basin, thinking we were going to fix the problem by putting 2 pumps in. So that's how we were thinking, and not on an ecosystem. And so George said, I'm going to find out what's happening here. And he brought scientists together, and the scientists told us, you have to go as far up as Lake Okeechobee and to Orlando. You have to think about it as an ecosystem. You cannot fix it by putting 2 pumps in your basin. So he decided that what we had to do was do a ballot initiative. So in 1992, we did the first of our ballot initiatives. And when it got to the Supreme Court, they turned us down. So we had to go back and start all over again, because he said, we are not going to give up. So in 1994, we started a new ballot initiative, penny a pound. So we started looking and getting our signatures, and unfortunately in 1995, George died in an airplane crash. So that put us all back again, which is funny about the Everglades because it's always some crisis or catastrophe. It's a constant. You think you've won, everything is going great, and you have a depression or you have something that happens to your leader. And so we all came together and we said, who will pick up the flag? And many of his friends, including myself, we said, we will do the job. So we went ahead, we did penny a pound, and we got that passed. We didn't get, well, I take that back, we didn't get penny a pound passed. We got make the polluter pay pass, and we got the trust fund. And all the you sugar people are here. I know you're in this room. It's okay. It's okay, because in the end, penny a pound would have been a heck of a lot cheaper than what you've had to put up with since. So we're happy. It turned out all right. But as we moved forward, we found out, what is Big Sugar and who are they? First of all, one of the bigger ones is the Fonville family who live here in Palm Beach County. They're from Cuba. They came here legally, and they built an incredible conglomerate. But what we did make them do, we made one of them become a U.S. citizen. So they have one who's a U.S. citizen, a Republican, and they have one who's not, a Democrat. So we have to think about all these things and how they come together. The other one, Big Sugar, U.S. Sugar, and we talk about them a lot, but you probably don't know who even owns U.S. Sugar. U.S. Sugar is owned 30% by the Mott Foundation, one of the premier environmental foundations in the United States of America, owns and controls U.S. Sugar, destroying Florida's environment. So what kind of a foundation is that? 30% of it is owned by the Mott Children's Health Center. But have they come here and helped the children in our state? No. In fact, when we asked them, they said they don't put their money in Florida, where they make their money. The other 40% is owned by their pension fund and the employees. So we need to think about how we're going to approach them. Who can help us out of that group? The hypocrisy of the Mott Foundation, each and every one of us should be telling all of our friends and anybody we know what they do to this state. One of their top 4 things that they do is the environment and clean water. Imagine that. U.S. Sugar was convicted. It's a convicted felons. In 1992, they pled guilty to knowingly putting hazardous waste in the water, in our water, and then back pumping it back into Lake Okeechobee. They all stood up there and pled guilty, every single one of their top echelon. So remember this, not only are they polluting, they're criminals, convicted criminals. Why should we allow them to buy our politicians? We must go out and talk about voting. How are we voting? If you don't vote, it doesn't count. When people tell you, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't make a difference, it does make a difference. If you're not voting, it doesn't count. And so many of these elections lately have been lost by very few votes. It's up to us to get out there and make sure everyone we can find votes and helps and makes a difference. You cannot make a difference if you're standing on the sideline. So Big Sugar, we need to think about how we're going to handle and take care of them. And we're going to take care of them through our politicians, by letting them know that we will not allow them to put their profits over our climate, over our children's health, to put Big Sugar's profits over our water, over our economy. Now, they like to think that they're adding a lot, but do you know how much they add to Florida's economy? About 0.01%, if that. They are nothing to this state. Nothing that we need or want. So I hope today, when you go back and you listen to all these speakers and these panelists, and they tell you what sugar can do to you and your children and your health and your environment in this most incredible state that we live in, that you will say to yourself, I am not going to allow this to happen. I am going to go out and I am going to make a difference. I am going to put myself out there and make things happen. So I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to my tirade. And if you want to ask me any questions, please do later on or come up and find me. I'll be more than happy to have a chat. Thank you so much.